Apologize for the break. My computer decided to crash. Uh, we were talking about projects and how they are only in the Renaissance expansion. These are cards that these are horizontal. Get out of here. These are horizontal cards that um, that stay in play. They don't go to your deck. You don't gain them. You buy them, but you do not gain them. They have a cost in the top left-hand corner for these two projects. They're both 4. And they will give you some benefit at the start of each of your turns, or um, sometimes it's not at the start of your turn, but it will give you some benefit that will be in place for the rest of the game. You can see right here I've got 2 red cubes and my opponent has 2 blue cubes. You can place these cubes onto projects that you have bought. So if I buy fair on the first turn with 4 coin, I place one of my 2 cubes onto fair, and at the start of each of my turns I get +1 buy. So I will have 2 buys to start each turn instead of the normal 1. With Sinister Plot, if I buy it for 4, using up a buy in my turn, I place a cube onto Sinister Plot, and at the start of my turn, I can either add a token or remove my tokens for +1 card each. That can be pretty beneficial if in the late game you're getting +7 cards because you have a bunch of tokens on Sinister Plot. So that is those are projects. You can only place 1 cube on each project, so you can't place both of them on fair and say, hey, I get 3 buys at the start of my turn instead of 2. No. You can only place 1 cube on one project, and you own that project, meaning that you will be able to have that benefit for the rest of the game. Your opponent can also place their cube on, so you can both have a cube on the same project. But you only get 2 cubes no matter how many projects are in the game. Usually in the Dominion Online client, it will give you about 2 projects. I haven't really seen randomizing the set giving you any more than 2. But you can certainly play with plenty more if you want. I don't know exactly how many slots there are that you can modify. So what I'm not gonna play this whole game, but I am gonna show you how the projects work. So I'm gonna add my cube to Sinister Plot. You can see I only have 1 cube now. So on my first turn, paid 4 coppers, used that buy to buy Sinister Plot. It counts as a buy, so you can't buy, let's say, another copper with your 0 left over. You would need 2 buys in order to do that. We're not going to draw 0 here, so we're just going to add our token and continue on with our game. We'll buy Chapel, add a token, play Chapel, trash 4 cards, end our buys, add a token to Sinister Plot, grab a silver, that was a mistake, grab a Swindler, add a token, play Swindler, they reveal the 5, we'll give them a Royal Seal, and we'll play 3 and get a silver here. And at this point I'm thinking, wow, I've got not a lot of cards in my hand. I've got 4 tokens on Sinister Plot, I've got 4 cards in my deck. I can draw all of them right now. And so I can trash my Curse, my 3 estates, get all of that out of my hand, play my 4 coins, and we'll grab another silver. So Sinister Plot is just one example of a project. Fair is another one. We're going to add a token to Sinister Plot, play Swindler. They trash an estate. We'll give them another estate, excuse me. And we'll buy Fair. Add a token to Sinister Plot. We're going to play our Swindler. They trash an estate. We'll give them an estate back because we're nice. And then we have 7 coin, and because we have a second buy from Sinister Plot, Swindler didn't give us that second buy, we're going to grab a hideout and a silver. Assuming that the client wants to let us do that. So that is projects. I was hoping that the bot would put a cube on one of these 2 projects so we could see that both players can buy the same project, but it doesn't look like he's going to be doing that. So we're actually we're done here with project We're going to look over, however, other projects for Renaissance, just to show off some of the other stuff that you can work with. Academy, when you gain an action card, you get +1 villager. Oh, well, those came in weird. Barracks, at the start of your turn, you get +1 action, so you start with 2 actions each turn. Canal, during your turn, cards cost 1 less, but not less than 0. Provinces are now 7. Golds are now worth 5 with this project in play. Capitalism, during your turns, actions with plus coin amounts in their text are also treasures. This can be pretty crazy. I'm trying to think of what, no, that's not one. Here, Flag Bearer. That counts as a treasure now. It's essentially a silver for you. And it doesn't cost an action to play it anymore. I'm trying to think of some of the other kind of crazy ones that I've seen be played. Jester can be pretty annoying when played as a treasure. Just stack up with Jesters and hope that your opponent has a lot of victory cards and hope that they gain some curses there. So that can be pretty annoying. Capitalism, pretty fun project. Cathedral, at the start of your turn, trash a card from your hand. This is a trasher that cannot be turned off. You are going to be trashing a card from your hand every single turn. And it also means that unless you have some other modifier, like the flag from Flag Bearer, +1 card. When doesn't show flag, that's too bad. Which means unless you have some other hand modifier like the flag or hireling from Adventures, which means you are going to be starting with a hand of 4 every turn. It's kind of good. It's in the early game, but you really got to have a kingdom that supports gaining multiple cards in a turn. Otherwise, you're going to wind up in a real bad spot. Citadel. First time you play an action card during each of your turns, play it again afterwards. Very strong. That's why it's worth 8. We're not going to talk about all of the projects, but I just wanted to show off a few of them. Other cards that are pretty interesting in Renaissance include Silk Merchant. It's +2 cards and +1 buy, and when you gain or trash it, you get a coffer and a villager. Swashbuckler has another artifact, the treasure chest, which isn't showing off to the side here, which it absolutely should. +3 cards, and if your discard pile has any cards in it, you gain a coffer. If you have at least 4 coffer tokens, you take the treasure chest. For the treasure chest, at the start of your buy phase each turn, you gain a gold to your discard pile. Pretty good. Pretty good. Scholar, discard your hand, +7 cards. Very, very powerful. If you have a very action-heavy deck and you're able to build an engine, play a village with very few cards in your hand. Play Scholar, you suddenly have 7 cards and a second action to work with. Excuse me. Scepter is a card that allows you to replay an action card in your buy phase if it's still in play. Or it can just be a silver. Inventor, you gain a card costing up to 4, and then cards cost 1 less this turn. A lot of cost modifying cards in here. We've got Inventor, we've got Canal. Technically Princess was from Cornucopia, but we're looking at a lot of them today. So I think that's about all I wanted to cover for today. I basically wanted to look at a few of the more simpler expansions. Cornucopia and Guilds are 2 extremely simple expansions. Once you get the hang of coffers and overpaying, you can play with these 2 very, very quickly. Renaissance, I wanted to talk about mainly because it expands on the coffers and adds villagers, and it also has the Sideways cards projects, which are, in my opinion, the first step for this other Sideways cards. Adventures introduces events, and Empires introduces landmarks, but both of those are a little bit more complicated, I think, than the projects are. Projects are pretty simple. You pay the cost and give a buy, you get some benefit for the rest of the game. That's pretty good. They're pretty good cards. I really like them. I think some of them are honestly on the weaker side. Piazza is very situational. You want You want a lot of actions in your card. It's kind of similar to Vassal, but you don't get the +2 coin. Um, and you could be discarding like a platinum, which would be very, very sad. So you want a very action-heavy card, action-heavy deck with Piazza. Guildhall is kind of good, but if you're building an engine, it's not very good. Fleet is a really fun one. After the game ends, there's an extra round of turns just for players with this. Province pile is empty, and you're down 2 victory points. Guess what? If you buy a duchy and you're the only one with fleet, you now win. That could be a game changer right there. Some of these other ones are pretty strong. Some of them are pretty weak. I don't know. I never really found a use for barracks or academy. I just never bought them usually. Capitalism is one of my favorites. It's just really fun to play action cards in your buy phase. Priest could be pretty good. It's just silver actually. Treasurer is really good with capitalism. It's basically a gold, and you can gain treasures from the trash. So you can, if there's like a gold or silver in the trash and you're 3 or 2 short from what you want to be at, play your treasurer, grab that gold or silver, and then play it to the field. It's basically worth 2 treasures. But that is about it. That's about all I wanted to talk about for this episode of How to Play Dominion with Darkticuno. If you haven't already followed me on Twitch, please do so. Twitch.tv/Darkticuno. On YouTube, it should be Darkticuno Dominion as my tag. If you're watching on one platform or the other, please go follow me on the other platform. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch. I don't have subscription features set up for Twitch, so I wouldn't do that if I were you, but you absolutely can if you want. Thank you, everybody, for watching.